guys, it's Rebecca. So today I'm going to be doing a video with Emily from Emily Kathleen Reads. We're just like Zoom calling each other so that we can like hear and see each other. So sometimes I'll be looking down, but I am going to like edit her into the video so that you can see her whenever she's talking. And then there's also going to be a video over on her channel where I'll be edited in, like talking wherever I'm talking. Today we're just going to be comparing like books that we don't like or hate or whatever. Some popular ones and I think some aren't, because we kind of struggled to find ones that we like didn't like that much, especially since I'd already taken a video where I talked about popular books I hate and most books I like anyway. So anyway, we're just gonna get started talking about these books.
So I don't know if you've read this or not, but my first kind of book that I really don't like, is probably my least favourite on this list, is the Falling Fast collection, or like series by Sophie Mackenzie. They're a kind of teen romance and I just really don't like them. They're just too cheesy and just not very good. Have you read them?
No, I've never heard of them. I've never heard of them. When did you read them?
Probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I just haven't read the next two over the course of the last like 2 years. I just don't want to really continue them, but I for some reason still have them. There's Falling Fast, Casting Shadows, Burning Bright and Defy the Stars. I haven't actually read the last book yet, but I don't know if I will.
Yeah, they look like pretty, like them covers as well don't look the best.
I got them like 80p each from like the book people because I thought, what a bargain, I'll just get them.
Oh my god, yeah. I did that. I used to do that all the time. I used to go into like bargain books and then I would just like buy a load of books that I like never read, like The Iron King or something. Remember that one from ages ago? I don't know if you ever read that, like by Julie Kagawa or whatever. I used to like buy like random books like that and then just like never read them. Like all the time.
The first one was okay, Falling Fast, and it's like this girl River and a guy called Flynn, and they get like cast into playing in Romeo and Juliet together, and then they start to fall in love, but then it's like really rocky and it's not particularly the most healthiest relationship and just wasn't for me.
Yeah, like the plot sounds good, but like like I would have read that if I had have known. Like if I had have like seen what that was about, I'd be like, oh, like I'll read that, that sounds good. But then yeah, no, I don't like stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought they were good, but I was mistaken.
So the first book on my list that I don't hate but I definitely don't like is Hard's End by Ian Forster. I know like so many people really love Ian Forster because he was in like the Bloomsbury group and everything with Virginia Woolf, and I really wanted to read this because I love like that kind of time period and everything, and then whenever I read this I was like so bored. It took me like months to get through because I was like, even though it's like quite small, actually like I was just like, I can't be bothered reading this. Like the characters were so bland and like there was like no plot. And I was just like, this is terrible. Like it just was like, you know, like fancy writing for the sake of it. Like I know it's like a classic and everything, so like what else can you expect? But like it was like really obvious that it was just for the sake of being fancy, and I just really didn't like it. I know so many people love it, but I love Virginia Woolf and I will read like other Ian Forster books, but like this one just kind of put me off, to be honest.
So the next one on my list is actually a classic as well, and it's Wuthering Heights by
Grimaldi.
Oh my god, no!
I just didn't enjoy it. I just found that I was just bored the whole time and it just wasn't what I was expecting, and I kind of thought it would be a bit more like lighthearted, and I read this one on holiday because my boyfriend's mum said that we could go when I visited to go see where they like wrote, where they lived. I just read it because of that and yeah, didn't really like it. I feel like I was just forcing my way through it.
I love Wuthering Heights. It's like one of my all-time favourite books. Like I absolutely love it. Like I always say, it's like probably one of my actual top favourite books. But I can see like why you wouldn't like it. I can see like, especially if you thought it was going to be lighthearted, like it's not at all lighthearted, like at all. Did you have like a preference of like Heathcliff or Cathy, like who you liked better?
I think Heathcliff, but yeah, I don't know, I just did not go into it expecting it to be as it is. I thought it was a romance of Catherine and Heathcliff like the whole way, but then she was like died before I expected her to.
Well, she's a horrible person, but like you can't blame her for I think that's why it's so good though. I think because it doesn't go the way that you hope if you know what I mean. And that obviously that's like a really like deep analytical way to look at it, and instead of just being like, no, that was terrible. But like like I love Heathcliff so much. Like he's one of my all-time favourite characters as well. Like I love Heathcliff so much. There's a bit where like she dies and all and he's like crying and all. Oh, like it's so good. Like I just love that bit. Like it's pretty depressing but it's also so good. Like there's just some really good quotes in it.
I can see how like people really enjoyed it, but wanting it to be over so quickly that I just put the audiobook on in the background while I wasn't even concentrating half the time, which probably didn't help my like enjoyment of it, but that's just...
Yeah, because it's like the second half is pretty boring. Like the first half is much better than the second half. The second half's a bit confusing, and as well obviously all the characters are confusing, and like I just used like a family tree whenever I was reading it, because I was like, who are these people?
At first I was like, I don't even know who anyone is. Doesn't it start later, like that looks back in the past? Yeah, that confused me when that happened.
I don't know. I love it, but like I can see why people don't love it. To be honest, most people I talk to don't like it, but that's good that like there's one that like we had a different view. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I like had in my mind of what would happen. So that's like pretty good. Okay, so the next book that I have is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I DNF'd this book like in May, at the start of May. It was just like terrible. Like it was just like terribly written. It was like kind of like written like a children's book but kind of not, and it was like obviously supposed to be like magical realism, but there was this bit, right, that actually made me sick. Like I nearly threw up. There was this bit where like the child is like in the forest or something, and then like he stands on like a needle or something, and then he goes home and realizes that the hole that he stood on, like there's a worm in it, right? and it's like and like it wouldn't stop talking about the worm, right? And then he lifts up his foot and he like looks inside, and it said like the worm was like repelling from the light or something, and it was like going inside and all, whatever. Right? It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And then he gets tweezers and starts like pulling the worm out, and it's like coming out, and then like it breaks off. So then there's a wee bit of worm still left in his foot. Then the worm turns into like, and then because there was a bit of worm stuck into his foot, like a woman who was like from another world became human or something, and then knocked on his door and turned into like like I was like, what? Like I don't know if I'm being stupid, but because he left a bit of worm in him, it meant that like she could come and visit him as like a nanny that like the mother had like hired to like look after him, and he was like, I know who you are. So it was like she came, he's like you're the worm or something I left in my foot or something, and then it was like, and she was like yes, like, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this book, like this is terrible. I was like, it was literally 80 pages in, and I was like, this is the worst thing I have ever read, and it's only 200 pages long, so it was like nearly halfway through and it just wouldn't shut up about the worm, and I was like literally like shaking with how like uncomfortable it made me. Like it was so disgusting, and like so many people love like that book and love Neil Gaiman, and I'm like, ew, like how could anybody read about that worm? Like I was like, never again. Holes and worms, like the two worst things you could ever put together. Like disgusting.
Does not sound pleasant. Not like an enjoyable read.
It was terrible. It was actually terrible. I was like, right, wise up. This is just so weird. Like, it was just too far into the book for like, if it had been 400 pages, maybe I would have continued to see where it went, but that's nearly halfway through. Like, just no, it wasn't worth my time.
I hadn't read it, so definitely don't think I'll pick it up anytime soon. So the next one, number 3 on my list, is Crush by Eve Ainsworth. I read 7 Days by her and I really enjoyed that because that was about bullying over the course of 7 days. But then this one, I think it's just targeted at a younger audience than me, and instead of the main characters being like 15, 16, it felt like they were like 11 and acted that way, and it was just a bit immature. The main character was just so in her own brain that she was doing the right thing and everything was right, when she just didn't. Like, I don't know, it just annoyed me. It was a shame because I've met Eve Ainsworth and I really, I got 7 Days signed and everything, so I thought I'd really enjoy this and I just didn't. It was not a fun read.
Oh, that sounds cringe. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that either.
Oh really? No, I really enjoyed the other one, but it's just like he seems like the perfect guy, and then he just doesn't treat her very well, and then he just is completely oblivious to it and won't accept her friends. Like maybe you should actually break up with him, but she just like completely allows him to be manipulative. But at the same time, they're like 13, in like their brains. Like her thought process is literally like a 10-year-old, and it's just not a fan.
Yeah, no, that sounds awful, especially like being really like cringe and like 11-year-olds and all like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds awful. Okay, so the next book that I want to talk about is Fangirl by Rowell. Loads of people love this book, but I absolutely just can't stand it. Like, I've only read it once, so I don't know what I think about it now, and I read it like years ago. I just like thought it was really cringe. I just remember thinking like, this is boring and cringe, and just like, I just think Rowell is a cringy writer anyway. Like, I honestly just can't really even remember anything but cringe. Like, and those bits, I don't like the bits with her fan fiction. I just thought was terrible, and I hated those bits. I hated reading those bits. Like, I just thought like, all of this is just terribly written, and I was just like, I will never read Carry On because like, it's just cringes me out. I don't know, that's really all. It's just like cringe. I don't really know how so many people like such a cringe book. It just really baffles me, to be honest. Have you never read it?
No, I haven't, but I have heard, someone did tell me, like I remember being in a bookstore with a friend, whoever I was with said that it wasn't very good and they'd read it and they didn't really recommend it. You're not alone with that opinion.
I read it literally whenever I was like 16 or something, so I don't know if I would think differently, but I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just cringe. Like, back in the day I liked Eleanor and Park, like back in the day whenever I was like, I don't know, like 14 or something, but like my sister read it like years later and like pointed out all of these different like bits about it, like all the like different quotes and all, and I was like, I don't know how I like that. Like, I literally don't know how I like that. And it's like, I don't know, it must be just her as a writer in general. Like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but it's not my thing, personally.
Yeah.
I've got Eleanor and Park on my TBR, but I haven't got to it yet, so look forward to reading that now.
It's like the things that it says, and it is very questionable, very questionable. I'm just like, I honestly can't even remember the plot of Fangirl. It's just some girl's a fangirl and writes fan fiction. That's really all I can remember. And there's a romance. That's all.
Fourth one on my list is Bookshop Girl by Chloe Coles, and this is about this girl called Paige, and her name's Paige Turner. And she works in a bookstore. Like, when I realised that, I was like, okay. And she works in a bookstore, and then it like closes down, or is being told she's gonna like close down to redo like the town centre. But then she wants to like protest, and she gathers people's like signatures to sign a petition to stop them closing down the bookstore, and it was quite fun, and it had like feminist like aspects of it, but sometimes it was too feminist. Like, I think she at one point doesn't agree with her friends going on a date or something. I can't remember much about it, but it took me so long, and it's literally like 230 pages, 212 pages, and I just couldn't get through it. It took me over a month to read. And like the love interest, like the whole storyline of that was not interesting for me.
Yeah. The Paige Turner, that's like,
I know.
that's like, that's so bad, that's so cringe, like,
The only reason I still have this is because it's like signed by the author, because I got it in like foils, thinking it was going to be really good, so yeah, no thanks.
Okay, so the next one on my list is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. This book, I just don't get why so many people love it. Like, it's terribly written. Like, I literally gave it like 1 or 2 stars. Like, there's this one bit where like they go to the supermarket and it's like, you never know, like, death could be hiding behind the milk. And like, stop! Like, that's a line in it. Like, I'm just like, how has nobody else like picked up on this? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then their religion is like men carrying big forks. I don't even know. Like, it's just absolutely just terrible. And it's like if you're half dead, you're called deadish or something. You're like, I'm just like, this is really questionable. Like, why? I just really don't get it. Like, death is hiding behind the milk. What? That one line just makes the whole thing terrible. Like, that one line alone is just like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish like I should like look, honestly I should look over this and like see some of the things I've written in here, because instead of like torture, I believed it is pronounced torture. What? Like, that's just like a random bit that I like took out of this. Like, I just really, I don't know. There's like loads of funny bits, but I like can't remember now. I have like a whole video on this, like talking about it with my sister, because whenever I was reading it, I was like, oh, like, this is like decent, and then it was actually her that like pointed out, because I'm like really like generous with like ratings and everything, and I'm not very critical whenever I read YA. I just ignore it. I'm just like, okay, I'll pretend I didn't read that if it's like bad. And she was like, she pointed out that death thing, and I was like, no. Do you know what I mean? After that, I was like, I didn't even notice that, like, just no. So that ruined it for me, and I was like, no, I will never read the next ones. And yeah, definitely don't get why people like it.
Yeah, I've never actually, don't think I've heard anyone with a negative review of it, so that's a first.
Obviously, I don't think anybody's wrong for liking it. I just don't see it. But that's me personally.
My final book is called Chasing the Stars by Virginie Grimaldi, I think. And yeah, this is about this like mother who's like single, and she just loses her job because she works like all the time, and she loses her job, and she's got two daughters. One's like a teenager and one's 11. They're like really behind on rent and everything, and they like owe a lot of money, and then they decide to just up and like go to the Northern Lights using her parents' like camper van. Or Caravan, whatever. I just don't like it because it was just, some of it was really predictable, but then there was so many like plot twists that were just, everything went wrong for the main character, like literally everything, and there were so many tropes in it that I just weren't a fan of anyway. The only thing that I really liked was one of the daughters, Lily I think, yeah, is friends with a guy called Noah, and they're like, their friendship is so cute, but everything else about it I just was not a fan of. And it was cool to get the perspective of the mother and the two daughters, but like I just didn't like what happened in it. Like it was literally like, felt like the author was ticking off like a box of things that can go wrong and was trying to get every single one into the book. But the ending was so predictable, like I knew it from the beginning that what was going to happen. Yeah, I was just not surprised at all by this.
I don't know, I've never heard of that either. Like, literally the only one that you've said that I've heard of is Wuthering Heights, but like none of the rest. Now I'm like wondering, would I love all of those?
Yeah, well I thought I would, because it's like not that long, the font is massive, and it's a travel novel, and I love like reading like travel things. And they go on like a road trip, so I thought this is going to be really fun. Could be a nice summery read, and it just wasn't fun.
Okay, so the last book on my list is Caraval by Stephenie Garber. This is another like quite popular book that I don't like and just wasn't well written. That's really all I can say. Like it was just like I can't even remember it. I just like it just like is completely, everything that happens is just completely wiped from my memory, because I just like I don't even think I made any like annotations or anything for this, so I can't even like actually look back on the bits that I actually didn't like. But I just like thought that the actual plot was boring and like didn't go anymore. Like I don't know, it was just like executed really badly. It was just like I had like way higher hopes for it, and then the plot twist was just like cringe, and I was just like, I'm never reading this, I'm never reading this again, I'm never reading any of the like sequels, because I was just like, no, like never again. It's just, you know, when you just read something you're like, this is badly written, like I can't say anything apart from this is badly written, and it always makes me feel bad like saying that, but like I hardly ever say it, so whenever I do say it, like I know that it's like, okay, so my camera just like kind of randomly stopped, so I can't even remember what I was saying, but basically I just don't like Caraval, that's really all.
It's just not like something I go to reach for, if that makes sense.
So you don't like fantasy and stuff?
Not as much, but like it's definitely seasonal the way I like to read. I definitely prefer like fantasy or like horrors more winter time or like autumn.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll leave the link to Emily's channel in the description, so definitely check out her channel, and as I said, there's also going to be another video over at her channel, so you can watch that too. If it's already up by the time this video is up, I'll leave a link in the description to that video as well, so that you can check that out. So that's everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.